Hola peeps, it is me again, doing another little movie critique, review, whatever you want to call these. First, real quick though, I want to give a shout out to everyone who was liking my last video on Volumes of Blood. Um, Definitely kind of surprised me a bit. A lot of you were liking it, a couple of you guys were giving me some feedback. Especially my oldest sister Jessie, kind of taken aback a little bit because I know, once again, I know she's not really into horror and stuff. It's not really something she's into. So, Jess, thanks for the feedback. Thanks for watching. And everyone else too. I know there's a bunch of people at work that were kind of liking it, and a couple of my cousins and stuff. So just once again, thanks you guys for letting me know that you are checking these out and stuff and enjoying them. Um, so hopefully going forward, you guys will still keep watching and stuff. And hopefully I'll get a little better at doing this. I know I'm a little all over the place when I'm talking about this stuff, but just kind of getting used to doing this, so bear with me. So anyway, on for today's video. I figured I was going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead, and this is the original Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, released back in 1968, so this is 48 years old for all of you who want to feel super duper old. And I figured I was going to kind of talk about the 1990 remake by Tom Savini, because I knew I would eventually talk about that one, but I figured if I did a separate video on that one, I would just kind of be rehashing a lot of what I would be saying today about the original. So let's get into it. So this copy, this one I actually got like 10 or 12 years ago. I think I saw it at like Walgreens for like $5. So unfortunately it doesn't have any special features or anything. Maybe if I come across like a Blu-ray or something, or another one for a pretty reasonable price with extras, I'll most definitely check it out and probably buy it, because me, I'm, especially with like Blu-rays, I don't mind upgrading with some of my favorite movies. So, like I said, this one was released back in '68, and written and directed by, like I said, George Romero. And this was the first entry into like his Dead series, like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, just all those, Dead series. This was the one that, kind of kicked it off. And pretty interesting about this movie, I feel like there's a lot of sort of like social commentary in this movie, and I gotta say, kind of unintentional social commentary, which I'll get into in a minute. Like for example, I don't know why I was looking at that for so long, sorry. But perfect example of what I mean by like social commentary is, first off, keep in mind, like, this was '68, so you had, Vietnam in full swing, a lot of like racial tension and everything. Women's lib, I think, was kind of just starting to come about. I know it was a little more, I think, in the '70s with like women's lib, but no, I mean, no, with like, especially like hippies and stuff, like women burning their bras and like not shaving their pits. So, just that's kind of where we were, as a whole, as like a world, not just here in the US, like a lot of racial tensions and just all sorts of stuff. And the one of the lead characters, Ben, who is originally portrayed by Dwayne Jones, who obviously is African American. For those of you who haven't seen the original Night of the Living Dead or even the remake, obviously, lead character Ben is African American. In that, like, his ethnicity in the movie, like, I don't, Romero never like specified like if he was African American or Caucasian or whatever. I think though he was initially looking for a white actor, but then lo and behold, I guess Dwayne Jones, almost said Dwayne Johnson, two totally different people, um, came in to audition, and Romero, I guess, just was so blown away by his acting skills and everything. I think he had like previous to this, I think he was kind of like a stage actor, did a lot of like plays and stuff. I think. Once again, I could be wrong on that. Um, but he loved him so much that he cast him in the part of Ben. Um, and I know originally that character was not supposed to be kind of like the strong one at the end, like the strong character. I know initially Romero wanted the character of Barbara, first played by Judith O'Dea, to be the one who you see kind of evolve into this very strong young woman. Um, because you see her at the beginning of the movie very kind of mousy with her brother, and her brother, like a brother does, is kind of teasing her and stuff. And then after he ends up dying, that was supposed to kind of fuel her to become like this strong character at the end, which, like I said, Romero kind of decided to then have Ben become the strong character at the end, which, keep in mind, I think, keep in mind the time where, like I said, there was so much racial tension and everything that I feel like that was a very smart move on Romero's part to have Ben become the strong character, to give this minority that was, at the time, and still I feel like to this day is still just like fighting to be like, look, we know our shit. We can be strong too. We know how to get out of this situation stuff, just to help give that community a nice strong voice and be strong, and not to be afraid to use their voice, especially if they're surrounded by a bunch of white people. Who cares? Use your voice, which I think is pretty cool. And you still, something like this movie, unfortunately, I mean, with it being, like I said, 48 years after this movie was released, still, unfortunately, kind of speaks volumes like that, considering, I mean, we're, what, like a over a week and a half away from what happened in Orlando, what's going on in Mexico right now, and actually even just earlier today, what we heard about the shooting in a movie theater in Germany, which I'm not sure, I haven't really checked the news since a few hours ago. So, just so much basically hate still that's going around here in 2016. It still kind of sends that message of like, in crazy ass shitty scenarios like this, like, it's okay to be kind of like one of the minorities and, use your voice. Like, use your voice in any sort of situation like this. Although be safe, because I don't want any of you to go out and, express your opinion and something happens to you. But, just, like I said, just to be able to kind of step up and use your voice. Don't be afraid to follow the pact. Basically, step up and be a leader. Don't be afraid to be a leader and take control of situations. So yeah. But yeah, and at the end of this movie, at the original, it kind of breaks my heart a bit because Ben himself, like, he's like the last one in the house. Barbara went to go like get help or something, and she runs into, of course, these like redneck hillbillies who are trigger happy. So he locks himself up in the basement, comes up, And, he's fine. He's, still human and everything. And one of these trigger happy guys among this zombie paranoia, whatever's going on, ends up actually getting killed. Which I feel like in today's society still, it's like, well, just shoot everything, which is not the answer. Don't go out and shoot everyone, please. Um, but yeah, it's pretty unfortunate that especially once again, like I said, it was '68, so it's like I feel like at the time, especially during all that chaos, I feel like, well, yeah, of course they probably would shoot like the one guy, the one black guy in like within like 100-mile radius, and it sucks because, like I said, he was the strong one. He was like the strong lead character that took control of everything, tried to save these people's lives, and what did he get? Hole right between the eyes. Um, but so yeah, so moving on to then the 1990 remake done by Tom Savini. In this one, I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't get kind of like the Psycho treatment, where like the remake of Psycho was literally like shot for shot the exact same movie remake and everything. Because, Tom Savini, and I have to say, I actually like Tom Savini's remake of The Night of the Living Dead. I know some people are like, dude, it's a remake, and you guys know how I feel about remakes. I'm usually like, another remake. But no, I feel like Tom Savini definitely did a really nice job on this movie. I feel like he took what Romero originally wanted to do in that movie and applied it towards his remake while keeping some of like the original stuff, like for example casting Tony Todd as Ben, so you still have that lead African American actor in the lead character, and still actually being a very strong character. Like he didn't sacrifice for that. Like I don't know if there was any sort of criticism from the studio or anything of like, well, if you're gonna have this other character be the strong one, you gotta not do that with the black guy. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure. I haven't checked out. I don't own the remake, so I haven't been able to like check out like any special features or anything on it. But it's like I said, it's nice that he kept an African American actor in that role and kept that actor's character as a still like a leader basically. Another thing that he did was with Barbara's character, who was played by uh, Patricia Tallman, who I believe was actually born in Chicago or lived in Chicago. So once again, I'm not 100% sure. I could be confusing her with another actress, but my Chicagoans, you know. But yeah, they cast her as Barbara, and Savini had her really evolve into a strong character. Like, she starts off being kind of like a little conservative, kind of a little shy, but you see her going through this movie becoming like one of the leaders. Like, she's teaming up with Tony Todd's character Ben and is like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Like, we're holed up in this house. We got to get out of here. There's other people here, regardless of if some of them are complete jackasses. We got to get out of here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What's the game plan? So he really, like I said, he really kind of kept what Romero's original vision was, and really applied it towards his remake, which I think is really awesome. Like, he didn't go in and was like, well, I'm gonna make my own movie. I'm gonna make what you wanted to make initially. So I think that's really awesome. And plus, too, I know that Tom Savini and George Romero are actually like pretty tight. They're pretty good friends. Like I know Savini did the makeup effects on Dawn of the Dead. He worked on Creepshow and Creepshow 2 with Savini or with Romero. Like they worked on it together and everything. So I'm sure, like, because of that, when Savini approached Romero about, hey, I kind of want to redo Night of the Living Dead, and kind of like, do what you initially wanted to do with it with the first film. I'm sure Romero was like, you know what? Yeah, go for it. Like, I like your idea. Thank you. Like, go ahead and do it. Get your. And I think this was like right around. This might have been Savini's like first directorial credit. So, I'm sure at the time he was kind of like, because I'm not sure how much directing he did with like Creepshow and Creepshow 2 or anything, but I'm sure a lot of people were like, well, dude, you're a makeup effects guy. Like, what do you know about directing? Which is a different story now because, now it's a lot of special effects guys kind of make that transition into actually directing. And I know guys before this movie were starting to like direct and stuff. But yeah, like I said, he did an amazing job with this. And something that I kind of like at the end, because the ending to the 1991 is slightly different. Like it's kind of the same setup, but there's a couple of differences done with the remake's ending. So, Barbara goes, she leaves, tries to go get help, comes back in the morning, and Tony Todd had locked himself in the basement, just like the original movie, except this time he's been infected. Like he was bitten or something, and by the time she returns, he's already been reanimated as a zombie. So you're like, oh man, he turned into a zombie, but instead of some like redneck hick with a gun just shooting everything, it actually was Barbara who ended up shooting him right between the eyes, which I kind of am happy about that. Sorry, I was like, my foot's falling asleep right now. I had to move. Part of me, I was a little upset that they turned Tony Todd into a zombie and killed him. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? He turned into a zombie, and I felt it was appropriate that Barbara ended up shooting him and not just like some random dude. Like I feel like, okay, she just went through this whole thing with him trying to survive, and she was the one who kind of made the call of like, all right, I'm the one who's gonna end it for him because this is not what he would want, and he definitely would not want one of these like trigger happy hicks to like shoot him. So I mean, I do kind of am a little happy with that it was Barbara who ended up killing him. So yeah, sorry for the spoiler alert. If you didn't figure out that the remake would not have one of them dying at the end. But yeah, so like I said, the remake, some of you might hate it because there's really nothing totally new in it except for a few small differences like that. But like I said, I enjoyed it. It's one of the few horror remakes that I kind of enjoy. And just so you know, just for those who are wondering, for Tony Todd, this was pre Candyman, because Candyman came out 2000 or not 2000, 1992, I believe. So yeah, so this was about 2 years before Candyman, and like 3 years after he was in Lean on Me. Yes, he was in Lean on Me. He was one of like Morgan Freeman's like security guards that's always standing behind him. So fun little fact about that. Because every time I see Lean on Me, I'm always like, oh my god, that's Tony Todd. That's so cool. But yeah, anyway, so I had to kind of get that little 411 out there. So So yeah, so I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this one. And once again, if I missed anything in like, either movie, either version, let me know, or maybe something that you guys have stumbled across on. Let me know. Share it in the comments or whatever. But yeah, so once again, thanks guys for watching, and I don't know when I'll see you next, but I will see you soon. So